video. Please forgive all my camo and all my redneck attire that you see here. You can definitely tell deer season is upon us here in Georgia, and of course we support that kind of stuff. Also too, if you see me reference my coffee mug, this is my wife's coffee mug, so please forgive me for being a little confused there. But anyways, hope all of you have a great weekend. I'd like to talk with you about these 3 laws because this seems to be an area of confusion amongst a lot of you. And I just wanted to clarify this by just a very short video on all 3 of these laws. Let's take a look at Newton's first law, which deals with inertia. What is inertia? Inertia is the tendency of an object to resist a change in motion. So if I said, I'm going to go out and split some firewood with this small axe, or hatchet as some of you may call it, where is inertia being demonstrated in this example? Well, obviously, if I'm taking this axe and I'm wanting to strike this piece of wood and cause it to break, the fact that it's going to tend to resist a change in motion when I add pressure to it with my hand, or if I put it on a block, that would be an example of inertia. Okay, or if I were to take a coin, and I should have brought a coin out here. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to take a little piece of this deer antler here, and I'm going to place it on my elbow. I do this with coins a lot, and it tends to work out really well. But if I snap down really quickly, where did the piece of the deer antler go? It wound up in my hand. So the whole point of that is objects tend to resist a change in motion when they experience inertia. Okay, think about it this way. Objects that have a lot of mass or very close to another object have a lot of inertia. So which of these 2 objects would have the most inertial impact based on its mass? If you chose the big axe, then obviously you chose correctly. It's going to have much more inertia because it's going to be more difficult to move or more difficult to impact it based on the fact that it has a lot of mass. Think about another example. Think about the solar system. This is an example I use a lot in my classes. The planets that are closest to the sun have the least amount of mass. They're also the smallest. So they have to be closest to the sun in order to have gravity to create the orbit around the sun, which is inertia. The sun is pulling on the planets are pulling back on the sun. So it's a push and a pull simultaneously. It's like if I were going to give you $1 and then I said, no, I want the $1 back. It's a give and a take at the same time. Or if I said, hey, let's go to the Grand Canyon, and I go and I say, hey, check out this view, and then I act like I'm going to push you over, which is a sick prank, by the way. But if I act like I was going to push you and then I pulled you back simultaneously, that's kind of what it's like when we talk about the planets. It's a push and a pull simultaneously. Objects that are very, very far away have a lot less inertia, a lot less gravity, because of the fact that they have a lot greater distance, like 2 magnets. The closer 2 magnets are, the stronger they're going to be. And that essentially is what the sun and the planets are. They act like big, huge electromagnets in our solar system. So the big, huge gas giants can be far away, have a lot of gravity, have a lot of inertia, but if they were the small planets were that same distance, then obviously they would not respond the same as they orbit around the sun. Some of them may even lose their magnetism and may drift off into space. It's almost kind of like God designed it that way, but that's a whole other discussion for another day. So Newton's first law. An object at rest or an object in motion will stay that way unless otherwise acted upon by an unbalanced force. What is an unbalanced force? It's any object that moves another object. One object is going to have more force or more capacity of moving an object than another. Newton's second law deals with acceleration. Now, acceleration depends upon two main things. It depends upon, depends upon an object's mass, and it also depends upon the amount of net force. So think about it this way. We're playing football. Right now the Bulldogs and the Auburn Tigers are playing, and I'm kind of missing it. But let's take a small running back. Let's just say he weighs 175 pounds. He's going to have a lot more acceleration due to the fact that he has less mass compared to a 240-pound fullback that gets the ball and runs up the middle. Or like a semi-truck is going to have a lot less acceleration than a small Ford Focus, if you want to use an automobile example. So acceleration is dependent upon objects, their mass, and their net force. So if an object has a lot of mass, it's going to have a slower takeoff speed. That doesn't mean that it can't be faster than the smaller object, but if it has more mass, it's typically going to have a lot less acceleration. Okay? So that's Newton's second law, acceleration. Newton's third law deals with momentum. And this is best memorized by the simple phrase, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I've attached a little goofy song that I always have my students memorize in my classes throughout the week, and I've attached that link right down here, so you're able to go and watch that if you need more help on understanding what momentum is. But we'll go back to our axe example. If I'm taking my little hatchet and I'm striking this piece of wood, hope I can chop my hand off in the process, but every time I do this, not only do I feel myself hitting the wood, a piece of oak wood, but I also feel pressure on both sides. So you've got my action, but then I also feel it in the handle whenever I strike the piece of wood. That's my reaction. Okay? So momentum's dependent upon two things. It's dependent upon an object's mass. It's also dependent upon an object's velocity. So the harder that I swing this axe, obviously it's going to impact this more than me just very slowly and very softly striking the piece of wood. It's actually kind of funny. Some people say, well, momentum, that's just the complete opposite of acceleration. And that's exactly right. Objects that have a lot more mass are going to have a lot more momentum. So if I take this, just for the sake of not having a camera person here, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it for you. But if I continue to take this axe and strike this piece of wood, actually I might be able to, but I may wake up my 6-month-old. If I continue to do that, the heavier axe is going to have more momentum because it has more mass. So it's kind of like that semi-truck example. It had less acceleration, less takeoff, but it's going to have a lot more momentum once it gets going. It's kind of like trains. They have a lot of mass, they're really long, but it takes a lot longer to slow one down than it would a golf cart. Okay? Or if you go back to the football example, if you had a running back that's 175 pounds compared to the 240-pound fullback, the one that weighs 175 pounds, he might have a lot more takeoff, and he may be able to stop quicker, but if he runs into one of the defensive players, he's going to kind of bounce off them, or they may just knock him down like it's nothing if they're trying to tackle him, compared to the big 240-pound running back that has a lot more mass. So again, acceleration and momentum are kind of opposite of each other. Acceleration deals with how fast something takes off based on how much force you apply or how much mass it has, and then momentum is the opposite. Okay, it's going to take a lot longer to get going, but it's also going to take a lot longer to slow it down or to stop it. So I hope these examples have helped you. If not, and you still feel like you need help with this, touch base with me at jmbracewell@liberty.edu, and I look forward to hearing from you then. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and please just continue to remember to watch these videos when they become available. They're here strictly to help you, and if you need anything at all, please touch base with me, and I hope you have a great weekend. God bless.